All right, let's go to this now. Former President Jacob Zuma will not be able to stand as a candidate of the MK party in the May elections. This was announced by the IEC while briefing the media on the outcome of a public objections process which took place on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. The Electoral Commission saying that 31 objections were received from the public, alleging that 8 candidates were not eligible to run for the ballot due to having a criminal record and or a conviction. 7 of these were dismissed.
In the case of former President Zuma, yes, we did receive an objection, which has been upheld. The party that nominated him has been informed, and so the objectors are being informed. We will, as the Commission, be dealing with issues concerning the ballot very shortly, and we will deal with those questions very fully. Today, we would like to focus on the process of candidate nomination and the issues connected thereto. I have indicated that the effect of the objections brought against the former president we've dealt with, and you have that answer.
All right, let's segue now to our conversation with Natasha Piri, SABC News reporter. Natasha, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let's just start by talking about the developments around former President Jacob Zuma. The IEC saying that his objection has been upheld and his party has been informed about this particular decision. What process unfolds now?
Well, definitely, Bongi. Well, one would assume that the next process is that the party, MK party, would probably take this to the Electoral Court to actually appeal the decision. But of course, they themselves need to then inform us of this decision. But let's just recap this conversation. Like you've correctly cited, former President Jacob Zuma will not be able to stand as a candidate in the May 29 polls. And joining us right now, we've got the chair of the commission, Mr. Musutho Myepa. We actually made this announcement not so long ago. Mr. Myepa, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. I mean, just maybe a reminder and just for further clarity, former President Jacob Zuma will not be allowed, to stand as a candidate of the MK party.
It is so. And I must admit, our focus as the Commission has not been one person. I know that in the media this has been a question that has been asked, and I want to raise this issue with the correctness with which it deserves to be mentioned, that he was just one of many others that were being objected to. In his case, yes, we found that the objections that were before us were meritorious, and we upheld. But I must admit, for us, really, the issue was just not him. It was looking at the entire process, and we have informed, as we speak, every one of those that have been objected to, the parties that nominated them, as well as the objectors, are either informed or receiving that correspondence as we speak.
And like you correctly say, that it's not only him, there are other 7 people who also received objections in this regard. And I mean, the form of recourse now for these individuals, some will say we'll take this fight to the Electoral Court, and of course the Electoral Court has until the 2nd of April to make a deliberation.
The parties have up to the 2nd of April to file their papers with the Electoral Court if they are aggrieved by the decisions we have taken today. The Electoral Court has until the 9th of April to look at to consider those matters and then decide on them. From the 10th onwards, there must be clarity. We now need to begin earnestly with the job of printing the ballots.
Let's talk about this 2-day process of inspection and objections. I know the IEC's hands have been full. Outside the Commission, you have Arise South Africa, whose the president is Mpho, and he claims that the IEC removed him from the list. Just further clarity on the issue, because I mean, you were quite stern that, listen, there's something that they did not do right from their part, but it's seemingly they're not having this this explanation from the IEC.
I repeat what we said. We have looked at every one of these objections very carefully. We have applied the law to the best of our abilities, and we were careful in doing so. In the case of Arise South Africa, we, on our investigation as we were doing this, have established that indeed they did not comply with a provision that is in Schedule 1, capital A, item 3, which says that when you contest the elections of the National Assembly, you've got to have candidates on the national to national part of the ballot, as well as at least one regional to national. They did have candidates on the national to national. They did not have a candidate on the regional to national. I want to appeal that the best way to deal with this matter, we have no discretion, and I must tell you, the law is the law. And I want to say those parties that are aggrieved have one avenue and one only. It is to go to the Electoral Court. They now know what decisions we have taken. They may have engaged with us or with staff members of the Commission. Truth of the matter is that we have now gotten to these decisions that we have taken, and the issue is only reviewable by the Electoral Court.
So correct me if I'm wrong, next week in terms of the IEC's timetable, next week Friday or next week Thursday, political parties will be signing that pledge?
Yes. As things stand, there is no party that has been taken off because of an objection from the ballot. The objections that we have related to individuals, and we have no situation where all the individuals in a party are removed and therefore the party is not going to be on the ballot. So between you and I, as we speak right now, in fact, I shouldn't say even between you and I, as we speak right now, the candidates, the parties that are on were displayed on the 26th and the 27th remain the parties, and those are the parties we are hoping will then go and sign the code of conduct along with the independent candidates that have qualified.
Mr. Meapa, thank you so much, and thank you for that clarity. Well, Bongi, and of course to our full viewers, you have it there from the chairperson of the IEC, Mr. Msuthu Meapa, clarifying a number of things. So pertaining to that 8 objections, and of which one of them was that was actually implicated is the former President Jacob Zuma. They still have time to actually take their plight to the Electoral Court, and of course I guess we'll just have to wait and see the outcomes of that decision by the Electoral Court. But of course next week Thursday, those various political parties will be signing their pledge and the code of conduct leading up to the elections. The final list will then be printed out on the 10th of April, which is just weeks away. In regards to the issue about Mpotagada, like you said, they did not fill in their candidates for the regional to the national list. So their plight, so their concerns that they've taken to the doors of the IEC outside here as we speak are all in. Back to your studio.
All right, Natasha Piri, they're wrapping, of course, that briefing there that we saw earlier on from the IEC for us. And, of course, a lot of focus on some of these objections. But what do they mean now? And we do understand the Electoral Court will possibly be seized with some of these matters. So it'll be interesting to see how, that court rules, especially when it comes to some of the issues around the objections.